everyone, we are in Cochem today. We are taking a tour. We just left a mustard grinding mill thing. I couldn't take video in there, but it's pretty good. We got some mustard. It's in a little crock thing that you can leave out for a year and a half because it cools itself on the bottom, so it was pretty cool. But we're going to be walking around the town. I don't know what all we're going to see, but we're going to see some stuff. And then we're going to go up to the castle, get a tour, and we're going to get dinner and a little show. So that's how it's looking today. I hope you enjoy watching.
Sie war die schönste im Ort. Sie brachte Laune zum Gehen in ihrem 50er Ford. Sie hatte Klasse, ja keine Frage. Ich fiel in ihr Dekolleté und ich war wirklich nicht in just don't think he'd understand. And if you tear my heart, I can break your heart. He might blow up and kill this man. Don't tear my heart, Mike, you break your heart. I just don't think he'd understand. And if you tear my heart, Mike, you break your heart. He might blow up and kill this man.
Right, we're gonna go for the full-on challenge.
Go on.
All right, nose back. Mom, you ready? We're gonna go full-on challenge, right?
Go! Yeah, that. This is the Rathaus, or the city center of Cochem, and it is very, very German. There's a sign here I see says 1699, so that's probably how long this city has been here, or at least this building right here. So yeah, it is so pretty. It was a hike up. It was like straight up. My face is red because that was a bit of a hike. But we are at Cochem Castle now. The view up here is incredible. Whether it's worth the climb is yet to be seen. I'm optimistic. I am optimistic.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, when you look at this castle, you're not just looking at a pile of stones. No! You're looking at more than 1,000 years of history. That's right. This castle's been here for more than 1,000 years. And the guys who built it, they were the Lothringen Palatine Counts. And the reason that they built this castle, was pretty simple. They wanted to make money. Lots of it. This castle was built right next to the Mosel River. They built it to make a customs castle where they could extract customs taxes from the boats that were sailing up and down the Mosel River. They built lots of castles like this, but this one, they did really good with it. They did so well with this castle that when it came time for it to be inherited, the counts got into a fight. They couldn't decide who should inherit this castle, and the king at the time said, you know what, if y'all can't solve that problem amongst yourselves, I'll fix it for you. I'll take the castle and keep it for myself. After that, the castle stayed in the possession of the German kings until 1294, at which point the German king started thinking, scratched his beard and said, you know, it's pretty good being a king, but it'd be much better to be Kaiser. But how do you become Kaiser? Well, here's the gig. There's 11 electoral princes. They decide on who becomes the next Kaiser. It's a question at all. And in this case, the king, he did some pretty basic politicking. Politics back then in 1294 was the same as it is today. The most efficient way to do politics is through bribery. So he used this castle to bribe the Archbishop of Trier for his vote to become Kaiser, after which the castle stayed in the possession of the Archbishop from Trier until 1689. In the meantime, 1332 was a good time to be in Cochem. Wine, women, and song, money, lots of it. They had enough money to build a wall around the city. They used some of that money to expand the castle. It looked a little bit like this. This is the only picture that we have of our castle before 1689. And that's a shame, because in 1689, well, it wasn't a good time to be here. Could you? I gotta turn mine off too.
Mine just went off.
There we go. In 1689, it was a bad time to be here in Cochem. Foreign soldiers came to the city, captured it, stormed the castle, lit it on fire, and blew it up. Who were the bad guys?
French.
It's always the French. But the French had a good reason to come here. You see, in 1689, the brother of Louis XIV, the Sun King, got hitched to a chick named Lieselotte von der Pfalz. And Lieselotte von der Pfalz was a good German girl. She got sent to Versailles, wrote letters back to her nanny. Oh, the things that the French men are doing with me here, they're quite awful. And you can actually read about it. It's pretty good stuff. Gentlemen, you need to have a pack of Kleenex in hand. Good stuff to read. You can read Project Gutenberg, find it for yourself. That's just by the by. What that means is that the French, they had a reason to say that this land here was theirs too. And they took it. They sent soldiers here and they took that land, which probably leaves you all scratching your chins and saying, well, Sam, that doesn't make much sense. How's the German army going to get anything done? Or how's the French army going to get anything done here in Germany? Well, here's the deal. The French, they can win a war. In this case, they were able to win it because the Germans were in Vienna fighting against the Turks. That's right, the French, they can win. The other side just can't show up. After that, our castle stayed in ruins until 1868, at which point a rich businessman from Berlin by the name of Louis Ravenet came here. But now you've got some cognitive dissonance. That doesn't make sense, Sam. From Berlin, but Louis? That sounds awfully frickin' French. That's right, it's a French name. Here's the deal, the French are not the friendliest folk around. Y'all know that. They weren't friendly back in the 1500s either, particularly not if you were a Protestant. There was a particular group of Protestants hanging around in France. They were called the Huguenots, and the French did not like them. In fact, the French tried to get rid of them. They said, check this out, Huguenots. We got boats, there's an island over there, it's full of Protestants, you'll love it. The weather, the food, but it's full of Protestants, you'll love it, go over there. And they put the Huguenots on boats, sent them across the English Channel, halfway across, pulled the plugs out of the bottom of the boats, goodbye, Huguenots. The French know how to take care of religious dissidents. Pretty classy stuff. Not all the Huguenots were dumb enough to get on the boats. Some of them took off to Protestant Germany, in particular to Prussia. What we would call Berlin was the center of Prussia. The Ravenet family did that. They set up making steel for the Prussians. And my friends, that was a good business. Nothing like Prussian steel to change the world. Ravenet got sent by the Prussians here in 1868 to take some of that steel and use it to lay railway lines so that the Prussians could send their troops right into the belly of France, which they later did quite successfully. So that's a story for a different day. In any case, the castle stayed in the possession of the Ravenet family until 1943. But Ravenet, when he was here selling steel, the way that he got this castle was the way that most businessmen do. After a long day of doing negotiations, you pop open a bottle of wine, shoot the bull with your colleagues. He got offered this ruins for 300 Prussian gold coins. That's a deal, it's a steal, it's a bargain of the century if you don't consider the fact that it took him 10 years and huge sums of money to rebuild the castle the way that we see it today. And why bother rebuilding an old castle? Well, gentlemen, you know, we do stuff for our ladies. And he had a lady, she wanted a summer house, and she got it. After that, the castle stayed in the possession of the Ravenet family until 1943, at which point the Germans said, "We want your castle," and they took it to pay for back taxes. After that, it stayed in possession of the German government until 1978, at which point the German government decided, man, this thing's a lot of work, we could sell it. And they wanted to sell it to a foreign company. But the good people in Cochem said, over our dead bodies. They scraped together their pfennige and were able to buy the castle out from under the nose of a foreign company. Today, the castle is in the possession of the fine citizens of Cochem. And by coming to visit us today, ladies and gentlemen, you are supporting their noble project. And I appreciate that. Give yourselves a round of applause. On that note, I want to show you all the inside. But before we go in, I got to remind you one more time, this is not a medieval castle. You heard the story. It's a vacation home from the 19th century, but it's still pretty cool. Come take a look. What you would do would be to pass around that drinking horn. There's room in there for 5 liters of wine. That doesn't sound like a lot with 50 of us here, especially if y'all are as thirsty as I am. But I got good news. We got lots of wine waiting on us. Now, Mr. Ravenet, he loved art and architecture. In particular, he loved wood carving. If you look around the room, you're going to see beautiful examples of wood carving. Above the door, we have the Last Supper. In the door itself, we have Abraham, sword held high, ready to slaughter his son, but an angel holds his hand back. If you look at these 3 pieces of furniture along the wall, you're going to see scenes from the Bible as well. Here in the middle, slightly hidden by the handsome gentleman, you're prettier than the carving, it's cool. Is a scene that we all recognize. Naked chick, dude checking her out, scandalous snake hanging from the tree. Yeah, that's not going to end well. If you look down below it, there's another scene, and those of you who've done your catechism might recognize it. That's Jesus at the wedding at Cana. That's where he performed his first miracle, turning water into wine. Now, that's the kind of Savior I can get on board with. But I was talking to some winemakers here in the Mosel Valley, and they said, Sam, that is not a miracle. That is everyday business. It would be much more miraculous if you could turn wine into water. That's a trick. And I scratched my beard and thought about it, and I came to the conclusion I need about 2 hours to turn wine into water. I wonder how long it takes y'all. Now, Robin didn't just like wood carving, he liked all art and architecture. So he had different periods of art and architecture built into his castle. We're in a Renaissance room. The Renaissance was a period of art and architecture. It started in Italy around the end of the 1400s, really kicked off in Petrarch, they say. And one of the central ideas behind it was the idea of balance and symmetry as an important part of aesthetics. And we see balance and symmetry in this room. On the one side, we have this big, heavy piece of furniture. To bring it back into balance, we want something big and tall and heavy on the other side, and that's this wooden mantelpiece. You got a lady carved on the left side, a dude carved on the right side. The idea being the masculine and feminine bring each other back into balance. They're also looking at each other, which in the Renaissance would be quite a scandalous thing to do. Darn near pornographic. But times change. If you look up at the ceiling, you're going to see wood-burnt painting. That means these designs were burnt into the ceiling first and then painted afterwards. And the walls, they were painted too. There's not a single piece of wallpaper in our entire house. But one more thing with symmetry. Y'all all seen it already. When we walk into this room, we see this wall, and it's beautiful. It's symmetrical. It's like a butterfly. And we all love butterflies. It just looks good. But if you open the door on the right, would you be so kind? Thank you, sir. We see a whole lot of nothing. This door serves the sole purpose of maintaining symmetry along the wall. But I want y'all to remember where this wall is at, because behind
That's a whole cartoon waiting to happen.
Kind of cool that's been here. We'll see it in a couple of rooms. First, we're going to leave the Renaissance, go back a couple of pretty royal. And we got royal pieces of artwork in this room. Donna from the School of Titian. Check this lady out. She is the daughter of a rich man. And it turns out Zeus took a fancy to her. But the rich man said, no way. Chicks who hang out with Zeus, bad things happen to them. So he locked her up in a tower. But Zeus, being Zeus, would not be deterred. He turned himself into golden raindrops and showered in through the window, impregnating Danae, who later gave birth to Perseus, one of the most important heroes of Greek mythology. That was indeed the first golden shower in human history.
Oh my gosh.
On this table, we have another strange piece of artwork. Some tour guides will tell you that this guy is the first breakdancer in human history. Other tour guides will tell you that he's had much too much wine to drink. They'd be lying. This guy is, in fact, what we call today a Gallic warrior. A warrior, well, what we today call a warrior from France. And he's doing that which French warriors do best. He's losing a fight with a Roman soldier. That's right. That's the other part of the statue, is the Roman soldier preparing to give the killing blow. This statue was commissioned to celebrate Julius Caesar's victory over the Gallic tribes. Yeah. Today, we'd probably call it a genocide. Back then, it was a reason to throw a party. We've got our own statues, though. We've got funky-looking critters up above the fireplace. Hard to tell what those are.
They look like snakes.
It's Kermit the Frog.
It does look like Kermit, kind of, but they're actually lions. They're lions, and they're wearing helmets with closed visors. And the closed visor is a symbol to represent the lion's readiness to fight. They're ready to fight to protect their coat of arms. Left, the Lotharian lion granted. Right, across to the Archbishop of Trier. In between, the story of our castle. It's a beautiful symbol all thrown together. But there's a better symbol in this room, and it's hidden. It's hidden here in this table. This table is Mr. Ravenet's card playing table. We don't have a lot of stuff from Mr. Ravenet because, well, it got looted over the years. But we found this one at a flea market. Managed to bring it over here. And it's got a lady carved into the front. It's not just a naked lady, it's a symbol. And she's telling us something about playing cards. She is Lady Luck, Dame Fortuna. Y'all might think that that's a good symbol to have on your card playing table, but I disagree. A good friend of mine, he said, Sam, if you're playing poker, never wait on Lady Luck. Look for her sister. Lady Luck's sister is named Lady Opportunity. But Lady Opportunity has a strange haircut. She's got long hair in the front that covers her face, and short hair in the back. What that means for us is that when we meet Lady Opportunity on the street, we don't recognize her right away. By the time we do, she's already passed us by, and there is nothing for us to hold on to. That's why Machiavelli wrote that it's better to recognize opportunity than to be lucky, because luck is a lady that will leave you when you're down. Mr. Robin, the Duke with the fantastic mustache, he knew all about that. He knew about luck and opportunity. He made a fortune knowing about it. The Germans say if you're lucky in the game, you're unlucky in love, and Mr. Robin most certainly was that. You see, he built this castle for his wife, but while he was rebuilding it, his wife started stepping out with a banker from Berlin. Turns out the dude had a huge bank account, and that was the end of the Robin love story. His heart broke. He died without finishing this castle. His son continued working on it, fell in love with the daughter of his architect, got hitched, made babies, lived here, happily ever after. For the younger Mr. Robin, this castle was a fairy tale. For us, the fairy tale starts in the next group.
Grad so wir. Die Frauen kennt doch nicht Hof und Gut, sie hat sich einen Reichen gesucht. So zog ich aus als Pilger in Waffen und kämpfte für Kron und Gras. Stolz, dass ich trug in meinem Herzen, so rot wie das Blut auf dem Schwert. La 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 la.
Please. I am not pleased. We just heard some beautiful music from my good friend, and I am not pleased because here, ladies and gentlemen, among beautiful women, charming gentlemen, we have a scoundrel and a cad. We have filth among us. And I will not have a cad at my table. Put it in the stocks, Patrick! Was a wise woman, despite having had 9 children. She was pretty wise. And she told me, Samuel, sometimes the most important thing is just to keep body and soul together. By which she meant, eat up, boy! And I think it's time for y'all to do something to keep body and soul together. Bring in the soup! Now, I don't know y'all. Y'all don't know me. We got no reason to trust one another, which is why I'm having the soup brought in a communal dish. Because if there's poison in there, it's not just you I'm getting rid of. We'd be getting rid of all of us. We're all eating from the same dish. But I'm not trying that. Is there a man brave enough to try this?
I will do it!
You, sir!
Seems to be right what it looks like. Is this the soup? Thanks. It won't come back, but...
Many favoritist moments. Many favoritist moments on an evening like this. This is one of my favoritist moments. Bring me the meat! Marvel at my mighty meat!
Countrymen.
Romans, lend me your loins.
Your what?
Oops. Freudian slip. On a night like tonight, normally I don't lose my voice, but for some reason I'm losing my voice tonight. Maybe it's the excitement.
There's that singing voice.
My dad told me something about Germany. He said, Samuel, you're going to hear about the Germans, and you're going to hear a lot of stuff. Some folks are going to tell you that they are hard working. But that's not true. The Germans are excessively lazy. But they're smart. They find the most effective way to get something done with the least amount of effort possible. And son, learn from the Germans. He didn't know that I'd get married to a German chick, but I took him at his word. Now, the Germans are not just incredibly efficient, they also have been paragons of science. If you did science in the 19th century, you would be speaking German. And Germans sent their scientists everywhere. They sent them to Japan, among other places. And there, German botanists found a little tree. They found a little tree that had little fruits. And the fruits were gray. The tree was ugly. The fruit was bitter. It was a peach, but nobody really wanted to eat it. But the German botanist, being a good German botanist, took samples back with him. And he said, you know what? These trees are perfect for keeping the hillsides from eroding. And so they planted these little red peaches in the Mosel vineyards. And they went nuts. Now the Germans took this ugly little fruit and they did what Germans do with stuff.
They blew it up.
They made it into schnapps. Germans will take old wank socks, dead dogs. They'll make schnapps out of everything. And they made schnapps out of this red vineyard peach. This is a 20%, it's a liqueur, which means that it's sweet, but it's also 20%, so it's tasty. I love to drink this stuff on Sundays when I wear high heels and beg for pearl necklaces. It mixes well with a glass, half of this bottle with a glass of dry champagne, perfect breakfast. Now, this is good, but I want to get back to efficiency. You see, you've probably heard about a schnapps from Italy called Trester. In German and Italian it's called Grappa. Grappa is made from the leftover pressings from making wine. They squeeze out the grapes, make the wine, then they use the squeezed out grapes to make schnapps. Pretty efficient. The Germans take it a step further. They say, no, we're going to take the dead yeast that cakes up the bottom of the wine-making tanks. We're going to scrape that junk together, add some sugar, re-ferment it, distill it, and we're going to make 40% rot gut, turn you blind, jet fuel, god-awful stuff. And we're going to call it Mosel whiskey. Let me show you how to drink Mosel whiskey. It's a simple procedure. You open the bottle. You insert the bottle into your schnapps receptacle.
Step 2.
covering the opening of the bottle with your tongue.
Step 3.
Then you elevate the bottle above your snout receptacle.
Afterwards, we meet in the oxygen tank
And remove your tongue.
That the laudable and notorious squires Bruce and Jason, brave and upright men, heroic in many a skirmish, defiant fencers and thirsty tipplers, faithful and gallant towards the noble ladies, averse to all bourgeois work, are deemed worthy to be known as knights of the royal castle, and given the name Sir Bruce the Bent. And Sir Jason. I got nothing.
Of the wet pants.
Of the wet pants. Top play like it was always done and celebrated within the royal castle of Cochem. Give these men their clothes. Remove these men's hats for one moment. I anoint you in the name of the Castle and the Father and the Lord. These men will now rise to 3 cheers